I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my peace over the mountains. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and it returns to me, and it returns to me, and it returns to me.
It seems to me such a privilege to be able to sit in a period of meditation together, right from our own homes and the spaces that we occupy right now as one. I invite this focus for this meditation to be on our amazing prime power of faith. And so the invitation as we begin is to focus, as Fillmore called it, focalize your energy and your attention on the power of faith. It's literally in the center of the brain. So just tune in to the center of your brain with your eyes closed. And imagine all those charts you might have seen about, from anatomy class, where the brain has two big regions. Well, right between those regions, envision the power of faith. Between the two hemispheres, this part of the brain controls the various biorhythms of the body. It's activated by light. Think about the metaphysics of that. It's the connecting link between the physical and the spiritual worlds. And right there in the center of your brain, shine the light. Imagine the light of royal blue just flowing into the center of your brain, into the brain fluids that are cushioning the two hemispheres, and indeed all the way through and into the full brain. Here, centered in faith, affirm, embodying faith, I see, I trust, I am faithful. Embodying faith, I see, I trust, I am faithful. Know right here and now that you are the perceiving power of faith, able to see what isn't visible yet in a material sense, able to perceive the truth underlying circumstances that are not apparent, but are deep and true. by the power of faith, able to perceive of possibilities that haven't yet been imagined by you. And the pervasive sense of trust. Trust in a benevolence, trust in universal benevolence at the root of life. Trust. Beaming your power of faith right now, will you join me in a moment of absolute silent awe of this great power to perceive truth, to see what cannot yet be seen, to sit in a state of trust and expectancy. I see, I trust, I am faithful, embodying faith. Embodying faith, I see, I trust, I am faithful. What does it mean to you to know I am the perceiving power? I can see truth. I can see possibilities where it might not be easy to see. How can I realize this, make it real in my life experience today? And how can I realize and make real the power of conviction that I trust universal benevolence, that I understand that this means that nothing could be against me, no one, no thing could be trying to undo me. There's no adversary. That benevolence is the state of equanimity and possibility at the heart of all things. And how can I practice a way of joyous expectation today? To know that I have every reason to expect beyond reason without relying solely upon mental reasoning. That I walk by faith, not by sight, by spiritual vision. Embodying faith, I see, I trust, I am faithful. Will you repeat that silently to yourself? Embodying faith, I see, I trust, I am faithful. So may we today express appreciation by living confidently in our power of faith, by embodying faith, to faithfully perceive, to deeply trust, and to joyfully expect in gratitude. Take a deep breath and let this settle in as truth to live today. And so it is. And so it is.
If a star can be a sign that the light is breaking through, and a child in your arms makes the world seem brand new, we can embrace all the grace we've been given, stand in the light of the wonder we live in. This is your gift, this brand new day. So take it to heart, take it on faith. Open your eyes and don't be afraid. Learn how to live, 'cause this is your gift. This brand new day, this is your gift. When it's hard to say a prayer, when you're overcome by fear, and you see each day through 1,000 falling tears, hope takes your hand and it picks up the pieces. Love comes to life as we live and believe it. This is your gift, this brand new day. So take it to heart, take it on faith. Open your eyes and don't be afraid. Learn how to live, 'cause this is your gift, this brand new day. This is a new beginning. This is where we start. We take what God has given and we live it from the heart. This is your gift, this brand new day. So take it to heart, take it on faith. Open your eyes and don't be afraid. Learn how to live, 'cause this is your gift, this brand new day. This is your gift, this brand new day. This is your gift.
Well, friends, it's always a pleasure to be able to just share some thoughts with you. And I'm so very grateful to have the invitation to do that this morning. Uh, if I were with you in person, if we were all in one space, I would probably be dressed in a costume right now because like that's one of my favorite things to do. I come from youth ministry, right, where object lessons were really important and dress up and skits were really just very impactful. So I would dress as a waiter and I would show you what it means to be a bad waiter. Um, I have had a lot of fun with that in the past, but since that's not really going to happen, I want to instead tell you of my experience the other day. Um, I was waiting on hold. Anybody with me on that? Anybody know the feeling that comes of waiting on hold? Okay, so here's my experience. I had ordered 3 tickets for Christmas week for an up and coming comic, stand-up comic that my daughter introduced Giles and I to. She's going to be with us Christmas week, so I was real excited to find this, and I ordered on StubHub. I ordered 3 tickets, paid for them, of course, they charged me right away. And then the deal is everything happens electronically, which, oh dear, there's the problem for me. So I waited, and just not too long later, I got the email to claim my tickets. Well, I see the email and I see there are two tickets, not three, two tickets. And I thought, well, I'm going to grab the two while I can because I don't want to lose them. So I did. I went in. They transfer you from StubHub to Ticketmaster to claim your tickets. I had to download the Ticketmaster app. That took a little time and set a password and all that good stuff. Well, I was able to get the two tickets that were showing there and move them into my wallet. It's like once they're in my wallet, I breathe a sigh of relief because now I've got them and I will not lose them. But there was the matter of the third ticket. So I went through the hoops again, and there was a place where I could seek some customer service, right? So of course it's a bot, and I'm telling them I'm missing one of my tickets. Oh, we'll get back to you sometime in the next 24 hours or so. Well, you can imagine that that did not happen. So 24 hours later, I I try again. This time I was in a state of kind of impatience and frustration to the point with as soon as I hit a hurdle, I said, I can't do this right now. Have you ever done that? Right? Like, this is not the time. I know this. This is not the time. So I waited for one more day, and then I ended up on the customer service chat bot with the chat bot trying to help me out. And it kept asking me all the menu items of what you need, what you need. Well, nothing was showing up that I needed. So I kept pushing other until blessedly they sent me to a live chat, to a live person to chat. Anyway, I went back and forth with this gal for quite a while. And then she reminded me, well, we're a third party, so we really can't do anything for you. You have to deal with Ticketmaster. And I'm like, but wait a minute. Anyway, in the middle of all that, after, probably 3 hours of my time all told, I went back to the Ticketmaster app and I found the third ticket and claimed it, and all was well. So I went back to the chat and said, I'm all good now. I'm sorry if I wasted your time, but this was a really frustrating experience. She agreed, and we were done. All right. Well, one thing that I forgot in all of that little weird little time delay thing that I was dealing with, I forgot to follow my ritual preparation. By affirming, the deal, right? I am calm. I trust they have my best interests at heart. I'm willing to be courteous rather than curse. I mean, those kinds of things, right? So I hope my story is relatable because it's happened a time or two, even in the last 6 months of my life. Well, I just invite you right now to recall a recent time where you had to wait. Perhaps for a medical diagnosis, perhaps to resolve a dilemma or a sense of your next best steps, you know, perhaps emerging from the unknown into a relief of seeing your way forward with something. Maybe it's about, waiting for circumstances in the world around us to change, waiting for the next election, perhaps, right? What Think about what happens when you are in a time of waiting. And think about particularly what kinds of thoughts you were harboring when you were waiting recently. What was your stance? I'm well aware of the conventional thought during times of waiting. Because look, I was raised on these ideas, right? This idea that, well, God's timing is different. You've got to wait on God because, it's not about me, it's God's timing. Or God is in charge. That's really my singularly most discarded platitude. I will not believe that God is in charge. We can talk about that another time, but I'm sticking to that. Or this one, God's will is hard. Maybe God's testing my patience. Maybe this is a waiting game between me and God, right? Or maybe it's God's way of trying to persuade me to just open myself more, or pushing me, or maybe punishing me, right? these ideas have been given to us through embedded theologies that most of us have probably heard or interpreted at some point in our lifetime. But all of it is to get the goodies. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason for this. We're told religiously. It's because your patience, your waiting will be rewarded, right? It's like a child promised an ice cream cone for behaving well while they're standing in the grocery store with their parent, you know? Or like a puppy waiting for the doggy biscuit. Here's a treat, but first you have to sit, walk, roll over, wait. Nah, what do you think? What do you think? It's a miserable way to live, isn't it? It's a miserable state of being to think that there's a deity, a God that is forcing us to have to hold on and not be able to move forward the way we'd like to. It's a ridiculous idea, and it's an idea worth changing, in my opinion. You know, those of you who've known me over time, who've read my books, perhaps, you know that I tell a lot of stories and I'm always questioning. I question all the things that I've been told and that I've come to believe. I bring them up for questioning because there's more to see, and there might be some spiritual bypass going on, or there might be some misinterpretation or some, again, embedded theology that has gotten in the way of me seeing an idea more clearly. So, this other thought, instead of what I just stepped through, is this idea. Waiting is not for God to act, but for me to get ready. Waiting is not for God to act, but for me to get ready, to ripen. This is one of my favorite words, to ripen. You know, biblically, if you look through all the stories Jesus tells in the agrarian community that he was raised in, his teaching stories were all about agriculture, right? And this idea of ripening. So, did you know that the word ripeness is the opposite of the word evil in the scriptures? The word evil actually means unripe, which goes on to mean unready or out of step. I want you to take that in, because for me, this was like extraordinarily a revelation to me. To be ripe is to be ready, to blossom, to, you know, to have cultivated the consciousness in which I can actually accept that which I want in my life experience, you see? To be ready, to be aligned, to be prepared. This is the activity in waiting. Henry V in Shakespeare says, all things are ready if our mind be so. Huh. Yes, this is it. To me, waiting is the time that I require to ready my consciousness for what's coming next. I like that. Do you like that? I mean, to me, this changes my relationship with waiting from something I have to endure to something that I get to participate in. So there's two polarities that come with this idea of waiting. And, you know, we've already sort of hinted at them. They're complementary energies, because those of you who've studied with me with polarities, they're not opposites. They sound opposite, but they're actually complementary. We do one and then we do the other, and they're both required for wholeness, right? So related to waiting, there's these two ideas that are built into the definition of wait. They are inaction and action. So some of the definitions that point toward inaction in waiting are words like delay or pause, suspension, rest, right? Staying open. Those are all just states of being, but not states of doing. Does this make sense? Right? Lao Tzu says, do you have the patience to wait until the mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving until the right action arises by itself? And Charles Fillmore says patience is a state of mind that beholds the world from the harmony of the Christ mind, a freedom from personal thinking. He says this, it's an attitude of mind characterized by poise, calmness, and a quiet, restful trust, especially in the face of trying conditions. Well, inaction at its best, what I see anyway, it's understanding that forcing a solution at this time may not be best practice, right? That to be still can be to incubate a divine idea, to let it be, as Fillmore said there. Poise, calm, quiet, restful trust, right? To let it be. Yeah. So for me, I've found that one of the healthiest practices for being in that state of rest or inaction during times of waiting is for me to draw from the power, the spiritual capacity of faith. Faith, which is conviction or trust, and expectancy or readiness. And we'll talk about more of those in a minute, but can you see the connection to that? Because trust allows me, when I'm in a state of trust, it's when I can be just peaceful and unconcerned about what's coming next. Unconcerned, right? And then expectancy is that state of readiness and consciousness for what's coming, you see. I love this line from Buddha's Brain. This was a book from Rick Hanson and Richard Mendius in 2019. It takes time to become what you already are. I like that. I like that. It's, in other words, it's an acknowledgement that it's worthy of the time, this waiting time. It's worthy because it's going to put me more in touch with what I truly am and therefore what's important to me. So that's the inaction. You can see that it's not really non-action, but it's not physical action. You get that, right? It's spiritual activity, but not action. But there are times for action, right? And definitions that point toward action involved in waiting are words like expectant, ready, available, right? Joyce Meyer, the spiritual teacher, says patience is not simply the ability to wait, it's how we behave while we're waiting. This is key to me. Let's go back to ripening. It's an image I like for action. Ripening, because ripening is the state of preparing myself in consciousness, becoming more peachy and fragrant. You know what I mean? Like becoming more of what I am, becoming more like at the surface of consciousness, ready for what comes next, for the benevolent expression of all that I'm looking for, where I can almost taste and sense in every way that what happens next will be beneficial. So to ripen, to ready myself, I can draw, and this is what I like to do, draw from the spiritual capacity or the power of imagination. So faith and imagination, because with imagination, I conceive of possibilities, right? I take a look at the field of infinite possibilities, Jesus's kingdom of the heavens, right? The realm of divine ideas. And I can conceive of some of those ideas. And it's the ability to envision the desired state of embodiment. Like, what do I want? And for me to live into that now and to feel all the enthusiasm and the success and the glory of what I'm setting in motion. Well, again, if you know me, you know I'm a storyteller, and I have an example of this that I'd like to tell you from the year 2003. So this is a little ways back. It's one of many instances in my life that I could tell about that is particularly an example of this idea of waiting. Early in that year, like in February of that year, 2003, Giles and I sold our big house where the kids were raised, and we downsized and moved to a smaller place. We bought it in Omaha, Nebraska, where we were living. So we had a new house. Well, right afterwards, Giles got laid off from his job. Not too long after that, I got let go from Unity of Omaha, where I was serving as the associate. I was in my first year of Unity's field licensing training for ordination, which means I was not ordained yet. So just think about that state of being. That's a big unknown, can we say, right? It's a big unknown and a big scary unknown sitting there not knowing how we're going to pay the mortgage on a place we literally just acquired, right? Well, I was really fortunate that I had a team of minister mentors in the field licensing program that decided that I should go out and find a church of my own, that I shouldn't be second, I should be the spiritual leader somewhere. And so they licensed me a Unity minister. Now, this is two steps to Unity minister. There's the licensing, and then down the road, I would be ordained. But licensing allowed me to call myself Reverend and to step into the field as a credentialed spiritual leader. All right, so this gave me the ability to apply for churches of a size that actually could provide a livable wage for me and for Giles, right? I found 3 churches right off. 2 declined immediately because I didn't have the credential they were looking for. I wrote cover letters explaining the positives of my being in this time of training. I mean, I really optimized that. I mean, the ministry that let me go is going to provide the financial support, pay my tuition. I would have a one-on-one mentor for me and for the community. And my current education was going to be on best practices. I mean, I was coming fresh and eager, you know. I had all of that. I'm thinking going for me. So, of course, my action became researching churches and applying, careful to look for an alignment of my purpose with what these churches were saying that they were looking for, right? That all of that work, material work. But the most important thing that I did during this time was what would be referred to, by the definitions as inaction, but I think of it as spiritual action, right? Because it was not a material action. It was my daily practice of meditation followed by journaling. Now, my journaling was very specific. Every single day, I started with a fresh page and I wrote my vision for spiritual leadership. I am a minister who, dot, dot, dot. And I did not speculate on any particular place, no membership size, none of the details. What do I love about waking up as a minister of a spiritual community? What values do I lead with? What is it like to wake up knowing that children in my ministry can be seen and heard and have a message? What is it like to know that congregants can turn to one another and pray with one another affirmatively, that they're all trained, that leaders emerge and are fostered? I love living in a community where, dot, 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 dot. And every day I wrote this vision and it grew and it grew and it grew every day, adding more of the specific qualities that I wanted to inhabit and that I wanted to experience for myself in spiritual community. So all of this I did every single day without fail. And my commitment was to do it as long as it would take until I knew what was coming next. I've got to tell you, friends, that within 90 days, I was hired by Unity of San Antonio. And that's from writing an application, doing phone interviews with their board and search team, going on a weekend site visit, an audition weekend, teaching workshops and leading Sunday service, going through the gauntlet of Q&A with everybody in the community, right? And I was a finalist among 3. The other 2 ministers had already 20 years experience as ordained Unity ministers in the field. It was amazing. My mentors just were like in awe, like they don't know anybody. Typically, ministers spend half a year or more trying to get to their next ministry. They said I dazzled them. If I dazzled them, it was because I was prepared. I knew who I was. I knew what I stand for. I knew what my purpose was. You see, as I sit here today, I mean, I'm still like feeling just the amazement of this. It could have been any community. Do you hear me? It could have been something else that happened. But what I and Giles too said yes to felt like my next assignment. I led that community for 14 years. It was a highlight of my whole life and career. Rereading my journal brings tears as I recognize that the fulfillment that I had envisioned before I even got the privilege of walking through the life passages with this beautiful community, before all that happened, I could see it, I could feel it, I was embodying it. You see, this was a fruitful waiting. And I want you, as much as anything else, to think about your own times of waiting. When you have done this, when you have been in the state of inaction and action, and you have done the spiritual work behind the bringing forth of all that comes next. I'd like to conclude with an affirmation to honor your waiting. This comes from my book written by my daughter, co-authored with my daughter, Alicia Whitsett, This Life is Yours. And really, there's a whole section on waiting in this if you wanted to read further about it. I invite you to just close your eyes and pay attention to, what your present waiting is, so you can really experience this, and embody it for yourself. I am never thwarted by hysterical imaginings. I am a deliberate creator. I master my ability to wait gracefully while at the edge of my seat in positive expectancy. My twin capacities of stillness and action are not in conflict or competition. I have room for each in turn. I sit with desire, remaining still. I dance with desire, readying myself. Waiting is not missing out, procrastinating, or settling. No, rather, waiting is my time devoted to wondrous, desirable possibility. May this prove to be really true for you, and may you experience the joyful expectancy in times of waiting that allow you to be fully whole and available and moving in the flow of the life that you are ever creating. I'm so grateful for your time and attention today and for the chance to be able to share a little truth with you. Thank you.